And the little map we will send you today, which is Tuesday, so you'll get it about Thursday. What do you think you'll do with it? And Katrina said, well, I mean, that's a nice map. It would be nice to have a map, but I can't just give it to my 7-year-old and say walk. So I suppose we would wait till the weekend. I might walk with them, see if it's an okay idea, and then they could do it. So all of these things happened in this phone conversation. What happened? Gail was able to provide a little map for Katrina's daughter Caitlin, and you can see on the map what's happening there. Katrina used to drive down Spurway and along Bigness Street, and indeed she was right. The children may well have had an accident if they walked that direction, but because she was shown information on a different way, it was quite a safe route. Okay, but what else happened? What else happened was, the most important thing for Katrina was, she had more time. She had an hour extra a day to be able to work on her TAFE assignments. What else happened? On the left, we've got Caitlin. So that's Katrina's daughter, and Tom, her son, in the middle. They walk to school, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night. But best of all for Tom, his friend Jasper, over on the right, was in the same class as him, same year as him, but a different class, so they didn't get to see much of each other. They loved this. There was no way Tom was going to let Katrina drive her to school because this was way too much fun walking with his mate. What else happened? Katrina came and told us one day that she'd been to the supermarket and met her friend Michelle. Michelle said, oh, we really want to go and see the Swans beat St Kilda. I can't remember who it was, but somebody. We really want to go and see the Swans play somebody in the Olympic Stadium on Saturday, and we can't because our car's broken down. And you know, in Sydney you can't do a thing without a car. And Katrina said, why don't you ring Dad? Okay, so let's just have a look what happened here. Oh, in that storytelling, you nearly forgot. Remember, our client had got us to reduce CO2 emissions. And so in fact, that's what had happened. Katrina now made less car trips each morning to take her kids to school. So that aim was achieved. There was lasting change. Katrina had achieved her personal goal, which was to pass a TAFE course. And I'm saying here she had the idea. I mean, she had in fact rejected the idea of letting her children walk to school, but with some thinking through, she was able to make a behaviour change that was based on something that she had thought of. There was the unexpected outcome of the kids being able to walk to school. There was also the diffusion of the message. So Katrina, because she was talking about behaviour change in her own words, she didn't have to say, oh, I'm now saving 3 tonnes of CO2 emissions per annum. She was saying, hey, listen, Gail is probably going to be able to help you because she helped me. So quite plain English transmission of messages. This diffusion occurred. And out of interest, Gail had not had a job for 16 years, but she lived in the Ermington community and she was able to become a conversationalist. So that's what can happen when you use this voluntary behaviour change approach. And the definition, we would say, is individuals making choices for their own reward because of personal knowledge or understanding without any top-down mechanism. And as I said before, it's helping people to help themselves. In case you like diagrams, this is the same thing that I've just said, but in diagrammatic form. So Katrina's at the top, thinking she always has to take her kids to school, thinking she'll never get time to pass her exam. She decides to change behaviour. She has several options. We only talked about the options of getting the children to walk to school, but she could have got somebody else to take the children to school. She could have given up the TAFE course. You know, there were a lot of options really, and that's a very important point in behaviour change, that there are options. She achieved her personal goal, and of course she continued to keep up the behaviour because there were so many good things about it. We haven't talked much about the reinforcement, but she was self-reinforced because she was passing her course. I'm sure her TAFE teacher was surprised that she actually got things in on time. And her colleagues her friends in Ermington certainly said, we never thought you could do that. Because of interest is that she came into the office sometime much later and she said, do you know what? I think I'm reducing pollution. So she'd never even thought of this whole exercise as anything to do with certainly not reducing CO2 emissions. And I've said the diffusion. The interesting thing about voluntary behaviour change is that you think, as consultants, we were paid to get up to the orange circle, in other words, to bring about behaviour change, but the green things happened without any intervention. Those things just happened in the community. And it seems to me, if you can have behaviour change mechanisms where things happen beyond what you, one hand, pay people to do or what you actually do, that's the true way to bring about behaviour change. Because in Australia, just the people in the room, even if we all changed 1,000 people's behaviour, we wouldn't really be doing very well. So it's these type of mechanisms that we need to be looking for. So just to elaborate a bit further, the key component of voluntary behaviour change is some sort of a conversation. The way it was done here is starting with finding a negative, something that the individual wants to change. And the interesting thing is, if I say to you, what would you like to change about something? He's talking back to me straight away instead of me saying, now listen, you need to be changing behaviour. But if he's articulating something, we're into true communication. Something like, are there changes you'd like to make but haven't got around to? And then you have this facilitative approach of trying to work with people to solve their problem rather than a sheaf of information on how you can do things differently. And then you heard in that conversation Gail developing what we call an action plan with Katrina. So we're going to send you this something, when are you going to do it? So you've already thought through how you're going to do it. You can see some links with what I'm saying to the theories that Will has been talking about. So now I've described 3 measures: supply management, infrastructure, demand management, regulation, pricing, large-scale awareness campaigns and technology, and voluntary behaviour change. So when do you use each? And here they are, just on a diagram, so you've got those 3. And we've found some very interesting uses to this very simple way of looking at things. When your infrastructure measures are losing their effect. So you've been providing waste facilities, you've been providing shower heads, you've been providing all sorts of things, and it doesn't seem to be working as well as you want to. You look at that diagram and say, have we given enough information? Should we regulate? Should we price? Should we look at voluntary behaviour change? So a very simple way of working out when you might come to a different way of doing things. Perhaps both supply and demand are losing their effect. We did some work recently in waste in Nelson in New Zealand, and they came to us because they said, we're doing everything. We've got recycling, we've got transfer stations, we've got brochures, we've got regulations about waste in Nelson. And when they looked at this diagram, they could see, now there's one area we've hardly developed at all. And in fact, they found a lot of ways it was very easy and very cheap to do some measures in that area.